we're gonna dive right into the Q&A section. So I am in a collaboration with Nitty Natty, who is Natalie, and she has announced on her podcast that she is semi-interviewing me and interviewing herself at the same time. I have invited my co-host here, as you can see her head pop up. This is Gypsy. She is our 2-year-old German short-haired pointer, and I live here with her and my husband, and I have just recently moved my mom within an hour, so mildly closer. And I am going to be answering 4 questions that you wanted to know about me that maybe you hadn't heard of in a while, or you were just curious about. Yeah, she's just off screen, of course. If I backed her up maybe a little bit, but she's being good, so I'll just let her be. So we'll start out with the first question, which is, how did you get into the fiber crafts? So my dad's mom, my Nana, was a crafter, knitter, and mostly crocheter. I have a lot of clothes from when I was a baby that I don't remember, but that she made for me. And now when I find them, they're so special. But at the time, I thought they were hideous. No, they're very late 80s, early 90s crochet. So the yarn is what it is, and there's some fuzz thrown in places with trim. It's hilarious, but now that I see them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see what happens, and I know how, and it's just so cool. Yeah. And that was kind of growing up. She didn't live very close, so I think I learned the chain stitch, and I think I knit, one of those little blanket squares from camp one year when I was 8, and that was really it. I never really picked it up again. I was mostly into dance and theater as a child, and in high school and college. And at the end of college, my grandfather passed away from cancer, and I am a person that the way that I deal with grief is to learn something new. So I learned to knit. I taught myself in 2011, and it was complete with like wobbly swatches, and so 2011 I was about 21, and I just fell in love with it. I tried to make tops and stuff, but I was not disciplined enough. No, not my attention span wasn't there. And I just kept trying to make like sweaters out of super bulky yarn that would take less time, but then they fit terribly, and they like weren't very well done, and yeah, it was just like horrendous on horrendous. And so like no one ever wore them. But yeah, so that was all the end of my beginning of my senior year. So I had learned to knit then, and I just kind of stayed on that path since then. That was 2011, so 2016 I started Bad Wolf Girl Studios after getting engaged and to be married and to move and a puppy. Hi. So basically all of these terrible sweaters that I was knitting and everything kind of blossomed into wanting to knit better fitting sweaters, and eventually led to the designing as well, which is another one of your questions. So it is, how did you learn to start pattern designing? I looked at a top-down sweater yoke book that was like giving you kind of general patterns and numbers. I had been knitting sweaters for about, I think, maybe 2 years. And some of them were pretty good. My first, I would say, I can wear this out of the house without being embarrassed, was the So Faded. But it was bright colors. And then I knit 2 pavements, and though those are both a little bit too short because my patience is not there, but though they are both a little bit too short, I definitely was proud to wear them out of the house. So I had gotten down knitting sweaters that fit me and looked good, and you know, I was cool with wearing them out of the house. So yeah, I wanted to create my own Christmas Strangeroo sweater, and that was one of the first colorwork yokes that I started. And after that I was like, well, I can't sell her pattern, I have to sell my own, which means I need to write one. So that was where the Christmas sweater and then the yokes and then Harry Potter and everything kind of devolved from there. So I would say that reading the books and getting like ideas of what I liked and what I wanted to do was pretty big. And then and also the desire to make a new shape. So this was my first kind of design piece. This is the sea glass, and it has kind of a round neck with eye cords. It has a racer back, and it finishes off with lace, which I really loved. I thought it was a very fun touch and reminded me of the sea. And the colorway is really the name of the pattern for me. The sea glass kind of looks like sea glass. So kind of went with it. And it is in hedgehog fibers. And that kind of was just my first like big sweater that wasn't a sweater, it was a top, but it was mine. And I went ahead and kind of dove into the colorwork world with the pumpkin hat. And I meant to bring it down, but I'll have to find a picture instead and pop it in. But it was the pumpkin hat, and it was my very first colorwork design, but it was my very first like colorwork pattern to release. And it was a hat, and I really loved it, and I put it on one of my sea glass sweaters because it was the only sweater I had designed. I thought that was really fun. And then from there, it was the Hogwarts of History, which was several months of just trying to figure out numbers and fit. And even then, it's had probably 9 versions of like what will and won't work. So I grabbed my second knitted version for myself, where I chose all different charts. And the idea with this is it comes with 4 different pieces, and you can do A, B, C, and D. And that was a ton of fun, but also a ton of work because everything had to match up in numbers. And this is probably my favorite design that I've done. The Hogwarts has been one of the most popular, just because so many people love it as much as I do, and kind of claiming that fandom for yourself right now. And these are all my colors as well, which is why I grabbed this one. I just love blues, hence. But yeah, so it's just, this is a very, very near and dear one to my heart, because I spent so long trying to figure out all of these pieces that go into a colorwork sweater. And it's something that's instantly recognizable, and it makes people really happy. And the amount of Hogwarts of Histories that have actually gotten to Hogwarts and Disney makes me really happy. So yeah, it's been very rewarding. That's probably my favorite pattern. The next up is, do I have family members who knit? Well, my Nana did, but she had passed as well. And it was before I was really a good knitter type of thing. Like, I could knit, but I was not anywhere near where I am now. So I did teach my mom, and she knit lots of flat things like scarves and baby blankets. So I kept 2 of the baby blankets that she made in pink and purple and yellow and green before her arthritis got too bad and she really couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't like bend her fingers the same way. So she doesn't knit anymore. If she's not watching this, Mom, don't listen. I did get her a weaving loom, just like a basic starter loom type of like Michael's level weaving loom, in kind of a hope that weaving will be easier on her hands. So maybe we'll have a weaver on our hands soon. But yeah, so I'm it. My husband has done like 2 stitches and went, okay, I'm done. But I have taught several of my friends to knit socks and hats and scarves. I've taught them to crochet. My friend Trina basically was like, I want to learn how to crochet, so you need to learn how to crochet so that I can learn how to crochet. And that's what we did. I learned and then I taught her. So yeah, it's just me, which is why I love this community so much. And I love going to knit nights and talking to people about, you know, your language, you know, your knitting language and everything, is really just something so special. And I kind of hope that I will be passing it along to more family members eventually, but at the moment, I'm it. And my last question, number 5, is how does your hubby feel about knitting? A range of emotions. When he is trying to sit somewhere and it's covered in yarn, I'm pretty sure it's rage. If he is just hanging out normal, then he does not mind it at all. I take it everywhere and I do it everywhere, in car rides, movies, so many places. So he is wonderful with that. He doesn't mind at all that I am knitting, and he's never embarrassed or perplexed because he's usually on his phone. And he plays his game and I do my knitting and we're happy. So that works out well. He's never had an inclination to learn, though I would desperately love to have him do that. But he says that his brain is just so shot after work, that he doesn't have any desire to do creative things. He just wants to sit and relax, and I get that. So I got him stress putty, and now he just like smushes it with his hands. And that was my Valentine's gift to him. Here's some stress putty. I know your job sucks. So yeah, I am the only one, and the hubby is grateful for socks. Hasn't worn any of the cowls in a while because his beard kind of pills them. And he did wear that Christmas sweater that I knit, the frozen fractal across the chest in the blue knit picks, and oh my gosh, he looks so good in it. And I actually just found a sweater's quantity of black yarn to make another one. To make another lumberjack sweater is probably what I'm gonna do. I really love the fit of that for him. And so, yeah, he'll probably get another one. And I'm looking to make it cozy, not baggy, but like fitted and yet roomy. So I'm trying to hit that nice sweet spot. And that's all the questions. Knitting Addie's podcast is already up, so she'll have a link in my channel, and I will link her below this channel as well. And I will also try to, I don't know how to add the little cards, but maybe I'll try to pop in a card to direct you to her as well. She's the one that did the dish scrubby pattern that I've been raving about. I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I highly recommend if you are in the mood. So thank you, Natalie, for this opportunity. Thank you for the interview. Sorry if I am too chatty. And I will be picking up in the podcast soon, and I'll pop this in. And yeah, so thanks so much. And it was great working with you. Hi. What are you wearing today? Do you want to tell them about it? So this is Felici worsted in the wizard colorway. This is a bandana kerchief style that my mummy knit for me. And it's just flat in the back. And it doesn't fit on any baby heads, so it had to fit on mine.